Hey y'all, Boogie Night here, and it's like they say, baby's first step, baby's first word, baby's first Religiousploitation review. If you couldn't tell by the title, we're going to go down a slippery slope right now, so I'm going to say this right out of the gate. Trigger alert if this is a subject, meaning religion, that you are not keen on talking about, or you're just going to break my chops about one thing or the next, or ask for my religious resume, thanks for playing. Now's the time to change the channel. Go ahead. Go on, do it. I can wait. Nice. St. Thomas. It's been a while since I've been out there. Okay, then. Alright, you still with us? Those with an open mind? Okay, here we go. So, religious resume right out of the bat. Raised in the Catholic home, went through the sacraments, went through confirmation, went to a Jesuit college, still go to church on a regular basis, but to deviate from that, some of my dearest friends are agnostic and atheist, respectively. Yes, there is a difference. I am a straight man, LGBT friendly. I believe in people are entitled to their own opinion, and we can agree to disagree. So that's out of the way. Let's go into the flick I just had to submit myself to tonight. God's Not Dead, part 1 of 2, and I have not seen the second one yet because I don't think I can stomach that right now. God's Not Dead, let's just get this out of the way. Is it not even, in my opinion, a film that promotes Christianity or the concept that all are welcome under the Christian umbrella. This is a join or die movie that portrays Christians as the victim. This has nothing to do with God being benevolent, being all welcoming, all loving, all knowing, omnipotent, all accepting, that should coincide under the Christian doctrine. This is a straight up offensive Christploitation film that if you are not 100% evangelical Christian, or even wanting to agree to disagree with somebody that believes or not believes, you are the villain. I'm going to get that out of the way right now. And once again, as I said before, trigger alert. We can agree to disagree on this subject matter, but if you want to leave comments about bashing me, about saying, oh, I don't believe you, I've already put up with enough comments in my past experiences saying that Catholicism is not real Christianity. I am inane and immune to your comments. Thank you very much. Get out of here. Let's proceed. So, God's Not Dead traces the life of Josh Wheaton, as if you couldn't be more generic than that. It sounds a little too close to Joss Whedon in my opinion, but we're going to leave Firefly and all the Buffy and Angel sagas out of this, because that's a whole different subject matter, thank you very much. So, Josh and his elitist girlfriend spearhead what can only be called Captain McExploitation and his band of 40 victims, because there are so many subplots that coincide with this whole friggin' movie. Josh goes to a college which can only be described as mainstream liberal arts. Sure, why not? We've all been there before. And I guess according to the curriculum, he has to take a philosophy class that he signed up that is spearheaded by Kevin Sorbo, and at the risk of dating myself, wow, you have gone a long way, Kevin, from slaying giants and mythical creatures to bashing religion. Alright. So, right out of the gate, when he starts the class, Kevin Sorbo, Professor Radisson, and I will actually never be able to stay at a Radisson hotel just by that name alone, goes off the rails. And let me preface it with the fact I have taken 3 philosophical courses in my college career as well as 3 theological courses in my college career, to know when somebody is just displaying their own opinion and going against what is actually displayed in front of them in accordance with what they're supposed to teach. Well done, Pure Flicks. You have completely already, out of the gate, saturated your own anti-theistic philosophical reviews on what the concept of First Amendment rights should be. This is freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, and God forbid somebody who is not your evangelical fundy belief system decides to disagree with you. But we're gonna get to that. Don't worry, there's more hate where that came from. All right. So, Josh enrolls in this professor's little philosophy course, and right out of the gate he talks about how God doesn't exist and demands that if anybody wants to continue taking his course, they have to write "God's dead" on a sheet of paper and pass it to him. With Josh being at the end of the row, he has to collect all the pieces of paper. Now, personally, if somebody asked me to do that, I would take the easy way out, because I would really love to learn just how sociopathic this person is, and just leave my sheet of paper blank at the bottom of the stack and then pass it to him. It's not like he's going to do a handwriting course and just say, okay, A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, C1, D1. Oh, nope, hang on. Hit the lock button. Nobody's going to be able to leave until they say, who left that blank sheet of paper right there? So Josh stands up to his beliefs like any person who is very firmly established in the beliefs, whether it's be Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, pagan, atheist, anything like that. So Kevin Sorbo, being the sociopath that he is, says that, okay, I'm going to give you 3 courses to debate with me like a court case, proving the existence of God, even though according to theology and religious beliefs, that's what faith is, justifying things that have no tangible evidence, and going up against an atheist hardcore who is defending the fact that God not only exists, that God is dead, even though, at least from my belief, God was never alive to begin with, because he, she, it was omnipotent to believe in, and Jesus was the basis of God. Confused yet? Good. It's gonna get more fun as we go on. So, Josh, like any reasonable low 2-digit IQ person of the fundy and evangelical sort, starts off on the evolutionary existence, creation of people, evolution, that kind of thing, and does a fairly, quote-unquote, fairly good job to swing the rest of the mooks and the lemmings and the zombies in the mall that he is okay, cool. I can dig that. Whereas Kevin Sorbo, who is all but the incarnation of Lucifer himself, pigeonholes everything. People are entitled to their own opinion. Once again, freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. People are entitled to their own beliefs. I can dig that. Goes off on him on numerous occasions, saying that you can believe whatever you want, but stop doing this, or not only will I make your life a living hell, he so far goes to the extreme that he will prevent Josh from not only achieving his undergraduate degree, but from what he wants to do, which is to go to law school. Awesome. Congratulations, Pure Flakes. Not only are you disagreeing with somebody who disagrees with you, you are threatening them, saying that if you don't believe in what we believe to the nth degree, we will stonewall you to the point that you cannot live your life just because you are not part of this concept. I believe we have called that the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, all the world wars, Korea, Vietnam, and everything that's happened right now. If you're not for us, then you're against us. And not only this point, it is an inverse effect of Estes Perkel from If Footmen Tire You, that if you are not following the way we are right now, we will kill you. But wait, it gets even better. By the third session, or sometime between the second and third session, Josh is confronted by Professor Radisson, aka Kevin Sorbo, not being Hercules, who confronts him like Peter during the crucifixion of Jesus. And whereas when Peter denies being 3 times that he is an apostle of Jesus, Josh confronts Radisson 3 times saying, why doesn't he believe? And he admits the fact that he does believe. He is not an atheist, and he just hates God because God let one of his relatives die. So let's end that scene and go to several different other scenes right now. I know I'm completely on my soapbox right now. Let's go to Kevin Sorbo's girlfriend, who is a Christian, yet dating this piece of shit. Once again, I've got several dear friends who are non-believers, who are atheist and agnostic. We've agreed to disagree, agree on things, but we don't ridicule each other. So, Robin McAtheist and his band of merry non-believers have a little wine party, and just because his girlfriend is a believer in God and Jesus, they ridiculed the shit out of her to the point she walks away. Yeah, well done. Good job on victimizing people who don't agree with you 100%. All right. Subplot 2, which is barely talked about in this movie. An Asian student believes so much in what Joss Whedon, good lord, Josh and his concept of proving the existence of God, which goes against the incredible concept of faith. In my opinion, you can agree to disagree with me, that he asks his father back in Asia, I believe they are Chinese, but don't quote me on this, that he asks his father for advice, and his father, being the zombie in the mall that he is, says, follow your teacher as opposed to what you believe in, but there's no backstory to whether his father is something of the non-Christian sort, once again victimizing his son because his son doesn't believe. Confused? So am I. Let's go a step further. The liberal blogger who doesn't outright describe if she believes or not, or maybe I missed it, because I'll be honest, I zoned the hell out of this movie quite a bit when I wasn't boiling my blood. She decides to do, I guess she's a blogger of some sort, doesn't really associate herself with the press, goes to surprise Willie Robinson of the Duck Dynasty, and his wife, girlfriend, daughter. I've never watched a single episode of the series, so I couldn't care less. And basically ridicules him about his rednecky system and about his religion. So once again, just because you're not 100% religious, you're gonna bash people about it. That really encourages people for the whole all are welcome, and really encourages people to join up with believing in God. that really works out for the best. I really need to get off my soapbox. I apologize. But he makes a not valid, but justifying his own beliefs in a nutshell. Couple of minutes later, she's at the doctor's office to find out she's been diagnosed with cancer and might only have a couple of months to live. How this relates to the main plot? We'll get to that. Don't worry, we're going to get to a couple more subplots while we're at it. Next subplot, a Middle Eastern girl who has taken the philosophy course with Josh and gets out of the course and puts on, I apologize in advance, I don't have the exact title, puts on the head wrap, which is stereotypical with a Middle Eastern woman because her dad is so ingrained in the Muslim faith. Yet when she goes into her bedroom, she listens to Bible and religious theological courses that goes against what she's been traditionally brought up with. Her little brother finds out about it, and she all but threatens him with death by stoning to keep this a secret from her father. And if this kid had half a brain in his head, he would keep it secret. Because if I was brought up in a fundy home, no offense, Mom and Dad, I apologize profusely because I know you would never do this with my brother or myself. We're so hardcore into being a fundy in whatever belief you have that you would threaten physical violence. So, of course, according to Occam's razor, he tells the father, who not only beats the crap out of her, he kicks her out of his home because he doesn't believe what he believes. Do we see a trend here of the victimization of the Christian faith? Ugh. And we haven't even gotten into the comedy relief yet, because there is some comedy involved with this. Final subplot of 2. Josh's girlfriend, who apparently they have been together for 6 years, who she's also I think she's a believer like him, although it's never explicitly said, either demands that he quits the course, taking on Professor Radisson, or quits her like it's something out of Brokeback Mountain. And he basically, after 6 years, says, sure, I'm going to keep following my course of belief. We're done. Now, frankly, I had a more valid reason for breaking up with my ex-girlfriend, but that's a whole different story that I will never bring up at this point. Okay, so those are all the subplots except for one more. Father David, the reason I'm doing the quote-unquote is because he is acted by David A.R. White, who I never did the backstory on, but I'm guessing he's another evangelical. He and his comic relief sidekick are in town for some sort of festival in Disney, but they keep having car trouble, and this is just comic relief throughout the whole concept of the movie. And in the beginning, Josh goes to visit before the debates with Professor Radisson on how to broach dealing with him. And David A.R. White, Father Dave, Brother Dave, I'm just going to call him Father Dave, being the fact that that's what I'm used to, gives him some scriptures and then gives him his cell number, and so on and so forth. So subplot's over with. At the end, during the final debate, when Josh talks to Professor Radisson and pretty much all but yells him, saying, basically telling him flat out that, like, I know what your problem is, and he admits to not being an atheist, but to just hating God because how God took away his relative. I get it, you're hurting. I understand that completely. I have lost several friends and family who have died. But the last thing I'm going to do is curse the existence of the person I believe in, or the thing I believe in, just because it's there. Congratulations, Kevin Sorbo. You look more like a dick than ever before. And making this movie, once again, victimizing. So with all these subplots going on, somehow they come together like a very bad Godfrey Ho movie with victims abound. So with all this going on, let's skip to the ending, because I know I've been rambling for a good 20 minutes. So while David A.R. White and his goofy sidekick are having car trouble, there is some big concert that all these victims of these subplots are going to, with a gig played by the Newsboys, a very CCM Christian band. And if you let me say so for a second, I used to like the Newsboys before Kevin Tate took over. Now, frankly, if you're going to have a Christian band that is going to express the hardcore beliefs of Christianity and encourage people to join your flock, I personally would pick Demon Hunter. Because if you really want to get the blood boiling of somebody that's willing to take on the forces of Satan, quote unquote, nothing gets you going quite more like Storm the Gates of Hell, I'll tell you. And that actually works really well when I'm running and doing races. But that's a whole different story. Now, the reason I did the quote-unquotes for Lucifer is because the more I watch this movie and I see Kevin Sorbo pitching a fit, it's more and more like I think about the Bible story of Lucifer when he rebelled against God because he couldn't take the fact that God had a different belief from him. So he threw a temper tantrum and to have his diaper changed. So PureFlix, you have just personified Lucifer without Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki trying to grease him. Good job. But somehow towards the end of it, Kevin Sorbo, Professor Radisson, has a change of heart and begs to go running to the concert to be forgiven. Miraculously, at the same time, David A.R. White and his goofy sidekick actually were able to get their car fixed after numerous attempts through various car rental services, only to happen upon when Kevin Sorbo gets hit by a car. And somehow, through the thick of this, while he's dying and puking up blood, which is never shown on camera, instead of saying, "I am sorry, I wish you could help you," they accuse him openly of being a non-believer, even though he had a change of heart. Long story short, he goes through the shtick of begging for forgiveness. They forgive him. He dies. They reunite with all the other cast of mooks and victims while the Newsboys are having their concert. And at the end of it, there was a message saying, text all your friends, God is not dead, he is surely arisen, or he is surely alive. I think that's what, yeah, that's what, I know it's the God's not dead part, risen, alive, whatever. I could not find this film more propaganda and pissing me off. Once again, raised Catholic, follow the Catholic lifestyle to the most part, as you can tell by the fact I do like my bourbon and I like to swear. This was not a Christian film. This was not portraying the fact that God is all-knowing, all-loving, omnipotent, and basically the whole Christian concept of all are welcome. This is a propaganda victimization film saying that if you do not believe how we believe, we will exploit you by portraying ourselves as the victim, and you are wrong, and agreeing to disagree just doesn't happen. I will go through one final theological, philosophical concept that drives the point home for me. Living in DC, on New Year's Eve at the Basilica Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, there is in the booklet, the missalette, Come Communion, where they say that if you're Christian, you can accept communion. That's normal. If you are not religious, if you are not Christian, we will still accept you as taking the communion, even though technically under Catholicism, that's kind of a no-no. If you are not religious, and I'm paraphrasing this because I haven't been to New Year's Eve Mass at the Basilica in several years, while you cannot accept the Eucharist, we thank you for coming and encourage you to sit with us to the degree, if you believe or not, which goes back to, in my opinion, the concept that for Christianity, all are welcome. Whether you are Catholic, Protestant, atheist, pagan, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, theist, pantheist, panentheist, the whole gamut of religious spectrums. This movie, once again, join or die concept that does the opposite effect, that is offensive, that is victimizing anybody who is of the fundy sort, and anybody who doesn't believe in them is destined to go to hell and is the perpetrator in what can be considered a religious war. If you believe in this whole concept of victimization, you are not living out the idea about, in my opinion, once again, these are my own concepts, that you are not one of us. And I find that offensive. Not just as a Christian, not just as a moviegoer, but as somebody that believes inclusion is key in this day and age. I'm sorry. I forget the director's name, but you are not an evangelical. You are a sociopath who has the team of lemmings and zombies in the mall to try and encourage this piece of blasphemy that is not good and encouraging for people among any faith. Whether it's Christian or non-Christian, you are excluding people. And this little concept of if you're not for us, you're against us, is asinine and stupid. First Amendment rights, freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. And to my buddy, old contact who threw the gauntlet down that demanded that I should watch this and review it, I hope you're happy, because I don't agree with this, and I hope that we continue to agree to disagree on this whole concept. And if not, congratulations, you've lost a buddy. So on that note, on more positive concepts, I hope to get back to actual movies that I enjoy doing, or at least I could snark about it for different reasons. On that note, have a good evening, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.